Well, I think that, obviously we're able to run the football better. And I think our players, whenever you bring a new system in, your players continue to learn that system. And every week, and I've said this in here before, but every week, every game's had a different story. I mean, the Ohio State game, we were throwing it a lot. The Virginia game, we were more, run and throw. And then this past week, we were able to run the ball even more so. So, again, every game's got a different story, and we're doing different things every week. We don't just say, here's our offense, defend it. We game plan every week to what we feel like is best against that defense. So, there's new plays, there's new wrinkles, there's new things every week. And so our players are continuing to learn that. I think, they've got a great grasp of that right now, whereas 3 to 4 weeks ago, they were still in the learning process. So I think they understand it better now, and we're able to run the football better.
What did Brandon Knight coming back and Mackenzie Noir stepping in, what did that bring to you guys?
Yeah, well, we've always known Brandon's a great player, from his experience last year and what we saw in spring football and training camp, et cetera. And, it's amazing whenever you bring a player back, you think they're just going to be where they were, and they're not. So he had a few things that he will get corrected, from last week, but he had a good football game. He really did. I thought the surprise was McKenzie. Just thought he played really well. I mean, really did some things. They were moving all the time. I mean, they were moving their front. They were twisting, bringing backers, all that stuff. And I really thought that, and I've said this again in here, is that the game slowed down for him a little bit. I thought that was really good. So I was really pleasantly surprised because that was his first start, how he played. And I thought he did a good job.
With element that also broke, you pulled McKenzie out and he helped lead it. Is he mobile in that way? You can utilize him as a pulling guard? Yeah,
I think we've got an offensive line that really moves pretty well, so we're able to do that with our guards and tackles if we had to with the tackles. So, he moves very well laterally and did a nice job of picking up some things that they did that, you had to run the clicker back and forth to say, what was that, and he did a good job with it.
Rich was saying that going back to the first few unpadded practices in fall camp, and he kind of saw Morgan Ellison running like he was in pads, like running tough. I mean, do you recall seeing that too? Just that kind of style?
Yeah, I think that, he probably didn't understand early how you do practice without pads and things like that, and he had to learn that a little bit. But that's what I do like about him is he's got a tempo about him, and he's going to play hard. He's going to continue to fight for what we call YAC, yards after contact. And that's just kind of his mindset, which is really good. I'm not a rugby expert, so I don't know that I can comment on that, but I take that's a compliment. But he really just he fights all the time. I mean, he fights for extra yards, and he that's what you love about him. And he also gets his pads down upon contact, and some guys, young guys, don't do that right away. They kind of run standing up, and you got to teach him to get down. And but he runs with his pads underneath himself, so it's good.
It looks like he has a nose for the end zone, but you guys maybe have reminded him you don't always have to reach the ball out, right?
Yeah. Coach Hart got with him after the first one, and then that didn't work, so we had to get with him again. And he, that's something a freshman learns. You cannot do that, and so I think we're there now.
You have Jay Sean making these big open field plays on the punt returns. We haven't yet seen it at the receiving game. What has to happen for that to be a possibility for your team?
Well, he's a slot receiver, and he's playing behind Luke right now. And Luke's, we do a lot of different things with the slot receivers that we don't do with the wide receivers. And what I mean by that is we run some option type routes and things like that. And just Luke has a better feel for that right now.
Mike, when you look at Penn State's defense, they've been very dominant, although maybe not quite so much right at the end of the Iowa game. But what makes them strong?
Well, I think that when you look across and you see their entire defense, you know, occasionally on some defenses you might say, hey, there is the best football player, that guy. And when you look at this defense, you don't necessarily say that because they're all good. I mean, they all play very well together, and they're all good athletes, they're good football players, and then they're very moldable too. You know, we're going through the process right now, putting the game plan together, and you know, you've got to. They move the front a lot. They blitz a lot on early downs, first and second downs, and so you know, we're going through that process right now of what we're going to do against that.
But you know, maybe you had something special with Ian Thomas because he hadn't done a lot when you arrived earlier this year.
Yeah, in the spring. You know, I really didn't, on film, he didn't play a lot, you know, as you mentioned last year, and they didn't use the tight ends that much in the throw game, so there really wasn't anything on film that showed that coming in. But then when we got in the spring and then we're really able to see what he could do, that's when it showed up, and that's when we said, you know, hey, we've got to highlight this guy, so.